But yeah, it's funny that you're using the glass bottle like you said because like I had said, because remember, like we talked about, glass is a natural element. And since you actually started doing that, I wanted to add something to that because you know that water is a feminine principle, and that the feminine principle does what?
It's magnetism. It attracts.
It's magnetism, it attracts, it absorbs, so on and so forth. Water holds memory. You see what I'm saying? So what you can actually do, being that you already took the step and started using glass, you can actually put your intentions into the water, and you can program the water, and you can change the frequency of the water. Meaning, like, you can take multiple glasses if you choose and have one glass. Let's just say, I'm just using this as an example. I say, okay, this is my power glass. So I could write the word power on the glass, and I could actually put my intentions into the water that's in the glass. Being that glass is a natural element because it's made out of sand. You see what I'm saying? And then water is an absorber, it holds memory, so on and so forth. So when I put my intentions into the glass, as well as putting a word on it, every single word holds its own energy. The same way now we getting into the aspect of manifestation, attraction, and affirmation. So it's all connected. Everything always connects in some way, shape, or form when you understand the formulas in the way that they come full circle with each other. So I say that to say everything has to be taken to next levels. So you already started using the glass. That's a great natural element. Now you can actually start charging your water. You can also sit it in the sun too.
I've done that before.
Yeah, you can sit it in the sun as well.
Yeah.
But, I've always practiced what I've studied just to gain a form of results, confirmation, and to solidify and create a knowingness. Because to just hear things and study things and just walk around talking that shit with arrogance is not the same as actually applying the knowledge that you're obtaining and finding out that it's truth.
Yeah.
And finding out that it is what it is and becoming it. So, yeah, water can be an absorber. It holds memory. And actually, you can program your water. And every time you drink that glass bottle with the word power on it, holding it, putting your intentions into it, every time you're about to take a sip from it, think in your mind and put that affirmation into the water in a consistent basis. Every time you'll drink it, you'll feel some form of power, some form of energy. So, when I saw you with that glass, I just immediately thought that in my head, and I wanted to add that in there. I had my queen do that. You know what I'm saying? I used to do it, when I was first getting on these stages and stuff. I used to practice that, So these are just all different tools and different forms of utilizing spirituality and science and metaphysics, which is all one thing, science, because science is spirituality. People think they're separate, but they're not. That's another case of using deficient mind to, dictate your perception, which is unfortunately what we constantly use to perceive things. But yeah, man, I just wanted to bring that up since I saw you with the bottle. You might want to scrape that damn advertisement off it and make it a clean bottle. That's what I do. You gotta, because anything that's on it, you know what I'm saying? That's like if I walk around with a bottle of bleach and put water in it, and every time I put the bottle of bleach to my mouth, people are gonna be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" People are gonna go crazy because they see that the bottle says bleach. So every time I do that, you ever seen somebody do something on TV and you kind of just get these little creep chills? You just like that uneasy feeling.
Yeah.
You don't know what they're doing. You're not there. You're not actually experiencing it. But the symbolism of what they're doing sends chills to your body. That's a real energy. But you don't know. He probably got fruit punch in that bottle.
Yeah.
But because the bottle says Clorox bleach on it, and you see him guzzling it, you're like, oh my God! You get chills in your body. You get scared for yourself, especially if it's a person that you're close to or a child, so on and so forth. So I say that to connect once again how symbolisms, labels, words, natural elements, so on and so forth, everything has a frequency, vibration, and energy. And we just have to learn how to manipulate it, master it, and understand that there's multiple levels to it. You know what I'm saying? So that's why I really brought that up. I'm going to actually start getting back into that myself because, when I think about the differences that it does have, never hurts to overuse these sciences and actually master them. Cheer, brother.
It's actually interesting. You said that. I know you've been on this page. She goes by the name Melanin Rich.
Yeah. I've been. Yeah.
actually was just scrolling down and I noticed something that actually just spoke to me a little bit. It was she was actually just talking about in her childhood she always liked a man that was good with his hands.
Uh-huh.
And she was talking about what happened to the guys that used to be there with the building blocks, just building toys, like the little building blocks that we have and just building
Yes,
stuff.
yes.
And I realized us as men, we don't even have
We
the
don't
ability to build
do
shit with our
that.
hands no more.
No, we
We
don't.
don't do that. And I really started thinking about that. I was just like, yo,
If you notice, not to cut you, we had a childhood decades ago that each female child and male child had extremely specific so-called toys that built their principles up. The man had the erector set, the building blocks, the Legos, so on and so forth. Children would build their own little towns and use their imaginations to put characters in them. You see, little girls would have their easy bake ovens, would have their pretend kitchens and be cooking for a fake family. Tea sets, making tea. They had, of course, they had the dolls and the babies, bringing up the mother aspect and principle of nurturing. You know what I'm saying? But my point is, today, the toys that we give to children is actually just turning them into androids. It's making them more mechanical. It's making them this combination of what I like to call this hybridism, where, oh, you can be a man, boy, giraffe, girl, whatever the fuck you want to be. Doesn't matter, But see, back in a better time, a more time that understood the balance between natures, a boy had boy toys, meaning that it built confidence, it built creativity for him to build something physically with his hands. It made him more capable of using his hands. The only thing they use their hands with now is remote controls and iPads. You see, if I put a building block in front of you or a set where you got to actually build something, you'll be lost. And they give up very easily. That's another thing that type of stuff instills into a child, a male child. It instills confidence and instills the motivation to keep going, to finish something. If you notice, nobody finishes anything no more. As soon as they get to a little small little hump or small little blah, I don't want to do anything anymore. We're all babies now. You see what I'm saying? Which in turn works for the so-called dominant society or the current social structure, because it makes you more dependent on what they choose to give you. So if you just don't want to do this, you got an app to wipe your ass now. So it's extremely, how would you say, convenient for the structure that has created this mindset and this social life to where you literally do not have to learn or do anything. I mean, for God's sakes, we walk around with smartphones, smart watches, smart hats, smart shoes, smart everything, but we dumb as fuck.
that's a fact.
You see what I'm saying? Because if I'm truly highly intelligent and at any rate of my natural form of genius, why the fuck do I need a smartphone? See, I don't need my smartphone. You see what I'm saying? I utilize it for what it's capable of, and I use it to enhance what I already am capable of myself. But I don't need it. There's people that will die without their phone. You see? So yeah.
Some people act like they can't do anything without it.
Absolutely.
They can't even, some people would rather go on their calculator immediately rather than do the mathematical equation in their head. Some people, rather than actually learn definitions in their head and actually start memorizing, they just have a phone and they just Google it.
Yep.
I mean, but rather than just memorize it, they just pull it up or whatever they feel like pulling it up without actually choosing to absorb the information. Instead, our tools that we have are supposed to be an extension of ourselves. Instead, they're mechanical parts. Now they're what would you call it? Like transplants.
Yeah.
They're transplants. They just stick it in us and we use that.
Yeah.
But it's not even efficient.
Yes. They are our little gods. You see? And you're absolutely right about that. And by the way, the less we use our brain and the less we exercise the connection between the left and the right hemisphere, the more dormant our capabilities using our brain. And there's a big difference between the mind and the brain. That's another thing I think Caucasoids have mushed together and have confused us about, because we think the mind and the brain are the same thing. They're absolutely not. The brain is a probability altering mechanism. You see what I'm saying? It's the central computer for the physical body. You see? So the brain is just something that is your tool. You see, the mind is the overall creator of all reality. The mind is what your brain exists within. You see what I'm saying? So when you master the mind, you master the world, you master reality, and that's a fact. That's a fact. But once again, when you're taught by people who are detached from nature, who lack specific things in the combination with the mechanical tool of their brain, talking about the pineal gland, which in turn causes a dysfunction within the pituitary if it's not healthy, which in turn affects the hypothalamus, so on and so forth. You know, you're going to be completely disconnected from certain things that come with human nature, and then your mind in itself, you know, is kind of affected with the fact that you truly don't have the essence of what makes a soul, or the essence of understanding what spirit is and how everything is connected. Because if you understood everything was connected, you wouldn't be destroying everything that you see. You think you can destroy a whole forest because it's only trees. You see, that's because you don't understand the connection of nature. So you'll tear down an entire forest to make a fucking building complex.
Now realizing that trees, and it's not no such thing as coincidence, like we always say.
Uh-huh.
As human beings, we inhale oxygen, we exhale carbon dioxide. Trees or other plants, they inhale carbon dioxide and they breathe out oxygen. That's
Exactly.
Not a coincidence. It's a give and take situation.
It's a cycle, and it's a unison aspect. It's a give and take. It's a complementary existence. You see, everything has forms of cycles, and everything has a polarity and a complement to itself, and everything is working within a form of unison for a specific function and a specific design, which comes to a specific result. And anytime you take one thing out of an entire equation, you have affected the entire equation. The entire equation. I have 10,933 times 5 million, times Once I change the one in one of those numbers, I have a completely different answer now.
Yep.
You see, I don't have to change the entire equation. All I have to do is take one thing from it, and it's completely different. So, absolutely right, brother. Absolutely right.
Yeah, just it's sad, man. We due to this deficient mind, because we lack the ability to see everything as a form of connection to ourselves or an extension of ourselves. Because in reality, everything is related to us. As you were saying before, you said we have trillions and trillions of cells in our body, and if you go outside of the Earth, what we refer to as outer space, there are trillions and trillions of stars.
Absolutely.
And they're all related to our bodies. In fact, I've seen pictures where it will show. You can look on the leaf of a plant, and you just look very closely, and it looks kind of like the veins of your body, or the veins and the arteries of your body.
You can find relation in all forms of nature. That's a fact. Speaking of, see, shit like that is just so unnecessary, man. But yeah. Speaking of, you just reminded me, see, another thing people don't even fathom or think about is the fact that I can pick up a handful of this dirt, and I can literally put that dirt under a microscope, an electronic microscope, and magnify it by tens of thousands of times. And there will literally be a whole nother world within inside that handful of dirt. You see what I'm saying? A whole nother world full of microbes, bacteria, so on and so forth. Living things that have their own, how would you say, structure within that small handful of dirt, looking at me as if I'm a giant. And an ant within that world would be a giant as well. So we have to even look at ourselves like that, because the earth in itself is just a microscopic fractional aspect in an endless universe. You see what I'm saying? So once again, everything, and see, that's why, to be honest with you, anything, like I always say, anything that can be simplified is simple.
Simple to begin with.
It's simple to begin with. You see what I'm saying? So the fact of the matter is, the universe is simple as fuck, because there's only two polarities, number one, and number two, everything is a reflection of itself. The macro is the micro is the macro. Like you just said, the universe outside of you reflects the universe within you. You see? So nothing is really complex. It's just how complex we make it.